$48 million. That's the pay cut LeBron James just took to sign with the 76ers. Everyone's calling it a bargain for Philly, and they're right. It is a bargain. Getting the greatest scorer in NBA history for the minimum is a steal, full stop. I'd do this deal in a heartbeat. But here's the catch. This cheap contract still forces Philadelphia to cut a player off their roster. And it's not because they overpaid. They didn't. It's because of a rule buried inside the minimum that most people don't even know exists. So today, why a genuine bargain can still cost you a roster spot, and why Philly should absolutely pay that price anyways. Let me show you the math. All right, here's the contract. 2 years. Year one, $3,876,000. Year two is a player option worth just over $4 million. And hold on to that phrase, player option, because that's the whole story. Now put that into context. LeBron made $52.6 million last season. This year he's making $3.9. He's the 8th highest paid player on his own team. He is, on paper, a minimum salary guy in his 23rd season. So why the minimum? Well, honestly, it's because Philly didn't have anything else to offer. They'd already spent the mid-level exception on Dean Wade and Anthony Simons. They used the biannual on Ariel Hook-Porty. By the time LeBron picked up the phone, the minimum was the only tool left in the drawer. And here's where most people stop. They see minimum, they think cheap, they move on. That's a mistake. Because a minimum contract is not just one number, it's two. All right, let's go over this. So if you saw my salary cap video, you already know the minimum is secretly one of the best tools a team has. The league actually subsidizes it so teams aren't punished for signing veterans. That's true. That's real. But there's a catch I didn't get into last time, and it's the entire reason why we're here today. Here's the setup. The NBA doesn't want teams avoiding older players just because veterans cost more than rookies. A 20-year vet on a minimum earns more than a rookie on the minimum. That's fair. They've earned it. So the league does something a little sneaky. On a minimum deal, the league itself pays part of the salary. The team's cap sheet only gets charged about $2.4 million, no matter how much the player has actually earned. The league eats the rest. So by that logic, LeBron should count about $2.4 million against the books, right? Nope. And here's the trap. That discount only applies to a 1-year minimum contract. LeBron signed for 2 years. The second he added that second year, that player option that he wanted, the discount vanishes. Now the full $3.9 million lands on Philadelphia's cap sheet. Same player, same salary this season, but a 1-year deal costs Philly $2.4 and a 2-year deal costs them $3.9. That's roughly $1.5 million of difference, and it comes entirely from one extra year on the page. So the subsidy is real. The minimum really is the bargain that we talked about. On a 1-year deal. You add a second year, and you hand the discount back to the league. Length is the trigger. And Philly pulled it on purpose. Which brings us to why that suddenly matters so much. $1.5 million for most teams, who cares? But Philadelphia is not most teams. Philadelphia is hard capped. And you have to understand what that actually means because people mix this up constantly. A hard cap's not a luxury tax. The luxury tax is a fee. You go over it, you pay a penalty, you keep your team. A hard cap is a wall. You cannot go over it. Not by paying a fee, not for a great player, not for any reason. For the entire league year. Philly hard capped themselves the moment they split that mid-level exception between Wade and Simons. That's the trigger. Once you use that tool, you agree to a ceiling at the first apron, and you're locked under it. So where do they sit right now? About $572,000 over the first apron. Already over. Before the LeBron money is fully accounted for. You cannot be over the hard cap. So the move is not optional. Philly has to get back under, which means waive somebody or make a trade. Somebody's spot has to disappear. The question is, who is it? As I'm recording this, it's not official. The signing itself is still being processed. But when you're clearing money against a hard cap, you don't cut your rotation. You cut the end of the bench. The names in play are all guys under $3 million on non-guaranteed or barely guaranteed money. Adam Bonner, Justin Edwards, Dalen Terry, Jabari Walker. One of those guys is about to lose an NBA job. Not because he did anything wrong, not because of a basketball decision, because a 41-year-old signed a contract that everyone called cheap, and it turned out to have a hidden cost, and someone has to absorb it. Now, all that being said, you probably think I'm building up to Philly screwed this up this way or that way. I'm really not. If I'm running that front office, I make the exact same move. Because that second year wasn't a mistake. It was the price of getting him at all. The player option is what LeBron wanted. It hands him control of next summer. That was the cost of the deal, and Philly paid it on purpose. But I mean, look what they're buying. Last season, 20.9 points, 7.2 assists, 6.1 rebounds, 51.5% from the floor, and a 22nd straight All-Star season. Would you trade your 14th man for that? I mean, is that even a question? I feel like that's an easy yes. But, and this is the whole point of this channel, it's still a real cost. A roster spot is a real thing, and nobody's reporting it as one because they didn't do the math. Here's what actually gets me about this. In most sports, a GM in this exact spot has a way out. You got a contract problem, you restructure. You push the money into future years. You create room out of thin air with an accounting move. It happens constantly. That's the NFL. Void years, restructures, kicking money down the road. I just broke that entire system down, and it's in the next video on this channel. The NBA apron is the opposite. There is no restructure. There's no pushing money into the future. There's no accounting trick. When you hit that wall, the money doesn't move. A person does. Somebody loses their job. That's the design. One league lets you hide the cost. The other one makes you look a human being in the eye and cut him. Same salary cap concept, completely opposite philosophy. So the next time you see signed for the minimum, don't just think bargain. Think about the years. Because there are two prices for that contract, and the length decides which one you pay. Philly paid the higher one, on purpose. I mean, honestly, I can't think of a team that wouldn't have done the same thing. And when Philadelphia announces that cut in a few days, remember, it wasn't a mistake and it wasn't a basketball decision. It was the cost of a bargain, and it was worth it. If you want the other side of this, the league where teams can make money disappear, that NFL cap breakdown episode is coming up next. And coincidentally, Philadelphia is at the center point of that conversation as well. Thanks for coming back to the Front Office Eye. We'll catch you in the next one.